database, you want to make, give yourself users with all access to all the modules.
Got it.
So we're not tripping over the security
Yeah, that's
fences.
We'll make sure that we set that up immediately. Okay. So then I guess really our questions to you are theoretical, but the other thing we wanted to learn about, now we don't, I know there's some patchy history with this work order thing, but we did take a look at it and we tested it, seems very functional. So the screen within inventory, you create a work order and you can select a whole shopping list of what you need for a job.
In the work order.
In the work order, you submit that, and it actually, we looked at the inventory quantity on hand, and it actually does it allocates it. So even if there's 0 on hand, it does do an allocation. Now I guess the next question I'm going to ask is, if it allocates it and there's 0 on hand, the next stage in getting it to do an automatic PO.
It'll create a requisition.
For that requisition.
It'll create a requisition automatically if there isn't
any
enough stock.
If there isn't any stock. Is that the idea?
Well, it would appear as one of these
Yeah.
columns here. It's not going to create a requisition because you could have a situation where you've got someone who's doing an inventory requisition for a quantity, and there might be 2 or 3 work orders going along on the other side, and you've got the same product in there.
Okay.
And I don't think you want the system sort of doing purchase orders for 3 work orders and 1 requisition. So it's all accumulated here, and you would.
Oh, I see.
Want to do 1 purchase order to meet all your requirements, whether it's over the counter out of inventory or it's part of a work order or whatever it might be.
So that answers my next question. The next stage in the sort of process is, so we've already established that someone will either put in an inventory requisition or they'll put in a work order as a request for something. Then we're gonna, once we get to the inventory screen, you're gonna have someone in the warehouse, or sorry, someone in procurement at least, who's gonna be constantly reviewing this screen we're looking at right now and looking for stacks of the waiting rec quantity.
Well, what I thought the system did was, if there's none on hand, there's none on order, it would create a requisition, and then you take the requisitions and create POs.
Well, in this screen that we're looking at now, you have the option of doing either the requisition or put it right on a purchase order.
Okay. Now, is there any way to set the system to automatically detect? Okay, we've got a level sitting there that needs to be ordered. Let's have the system automatically prompt or fill out a requisition for this, and then alert someone.
Maybe we can do a work order and put in an amount that's above what's on hand, because I was pretty sure when we did it the other day.
Well, here, for example, the system is suggesting a quantity.
Okay.
And that's just some arithmetic it does based on the min-max settings.
Okay.
And if the person who's managing this would look at it and say, all right, I want to buy these 2 items. Now, do I want to put it on a restocking purchase order, or do I have to send it on a requisition? It just depends on what your process is.
Okay.
If they put it on a PO, then the system will go away and pick up all the default information and prepare an open purchase order.
Okay.
Right, but in this case, there's no actual demand for that, other than the min-max level not being met, because your quantity available is 1, the min level is 2, so it's obviously requesting an order. But if a work order was produced, does the system not automatically create a requisition for it, or does it just add it to this list?
No, it would appear on this list. But that's the other thing that you can do. The other feature is the dashboard alerts. So are you familiar with the dashboard?
Yep. So essentially what we could do is we could create a dashboard out of this right here, and we'd have an alert sent to us or sent to a purchaser every time there's something to be purchased.
That's right. Now, I don't know what the parameters are, but we could work with the query and adjust it. At least then it has some visibility.
Yeah,
when
exactly.
There's a change to this list.
Okay. But that is as advanced as it gets then. Where there's no automatic, Like
No,
if there's a
someone
MINS.
has to look at it and say, yes, we should buy that.
Okay.
Is this, so a lot of systems, I'm used to something called a purchase proposal, where the system says, hey, this is, you should look at buying this, or move it from another warehouse, you have demands to fill.
Yep,
Is that what this screen is?
that's right.
Okay.
So
We can
how
make
would
that.
I, if I'm a buyer, how do I look at the screen and see only items that I need to buy or move from another warehouse?
You set a filter and set it as a screen type.
Yeah, you could, I mean, do you just want to filter on quantity, or?
Yeah, basically anything. I guess anything that's waiting on rec quantity, right?
Give me non-blanks.
I see.
You know,
So that
and
column, what
there
do
are
we,
the items that the system is suggesting you need to do something about.
what does
Got
that
it.
column say? It says quantity for,
Uh, my fingernail's not working here.
Oh yeah, it's the connection probably as well. Almost.
It's the quantity for selection.
Quantity
So
for selection. Okay.
It's, if you look at, and that can be changed, by the way. So if we look at the first one on the list, it's saying 2,
Mm-hmm.
and the quantity on hand for that product is 0, the min level is 2, and the max is 4, and the system is saying, well, you better get 2, at least bring you up to the minimum.
I see. Okay.
But if the economic buy quantity is 24, then the quantity for selection, you just change that to 24,
Oh,
and
cool.
that becomes the basis for the purchase order quantity.
Oh, you can edit that right there.
now, will this system do lead time calculations? So say we have determined usage, right? So say we use 1 a week, but it takes 4 weeks to get a part in. So therefore we probably need to keep 4 on order. Does it do those determinations for you and make recommendations to what the min-max or safety level should be?
No, what we have is pretty basic, but if you had a formula that you wanted to use, we could incorporate something like that.
Okay.
Okay.
Is there, what I don't see here is a reorder point. I see min, but your min shouldn't be a reorder point.
Yeah, you can make that whatever you wish then. So maybe you build in your safety stock on the min level.
But so there, I'm used to seeing a column for, or an option for max, an option for min, and an option for reorder point. Are we missing the reorder point option?
Yep.
Is that something that's easy to add, or is that a major change?
Yep, no, we could re-add the column. Like it cost a few bucks, but it's not a big deal.
Okay.
Okay,
That's
yeah,
good.
because for example, I'd be used to seeing something like a max of 10, a reorder point of 3, and a min of 2.
Yeah,
So,
You get rid of a cushion, and that cushion is really based for the lead time as well. It's a cushion for the lead time.
exactly, and then you
Yeah.
start calculating your demand and things like that into it too.
Okay.
now
That's
the system wouldn't do anything with that data. Once it goes in, somebody has to maintain the data.
yeah. So
But as long as it's not too dynamic, then,
So there's, yeah, and maybe that's the link I'm missing that I'm trying to look for is a system that says, oh, we've just hit 3, so we need to reorder 7. But I guess if we put a reorder point in there, it would determine. We just set the setting to the max and not to the min level,
yep.
or some other determination. Okay.
okay.
Now, if there's something, we do have blanket order capability as well, blanket
Yes.
purchase orders. I don't know if we've looked at that.
Well, we may have to, if we're changing the way that we do things, at least in a test environment, we should consider that at least. People have told us that's not going to work for you based on your current setup, but if we're altering the way that we have the purchase side or the procurement side of our company, we may want to consider it.
I have a question. Can I select 10 of these lines and then go create requisition or create purchase order?
Sure.
Okay, so this
Take
is
this
actually
one.
this
Oh,
is
wow.
starting to get easy
This
to
one.
work with.
These 2 guys,
Nice.
and maybe those 4.
Okay, good.
And now I want to process it and do a purchase order.
Wow, that's awesome.
Because because I don't have a buyer group here, you're not part of a buyer group, I can't do the
Right.
purchase order.
Yeah, but that's the idea at least.
Now, if I didn't want to have the warehouse buying, I could have them create. They would then just create a requisition, and it would go to a buyer.
Yes.
Nice.
And it doesn't matter. Like when I from this screen, it doesn't matter what vendor they're from, right? If I create requisitions, it'll create a separate requisition for each one, or a line for each one.
That's right. Now, I say that based on my knowledge of my database. I don't know what all the table settings are there, but that once we get the table settings all organized, yes.
Fair enough. And then
that would work.
What we're doing right here, where we've selected 6 or 7 items, if their vendor was if we had 5 items and 3 different vendors, it would automatically create 3 POs, one for each vendor that was assigned.
Whoever the primary vendor is.
Perfect.
Yes.
Well, that's great.
Okay. Now, if we go create PO, it'll create a PO, but it won't necessarily release it. We can send the PO for review through workflow, correct?
That's right. The next screen you'll see after you create it is basically a suggested purchase order. And you get an opportunity to change it again, to increase or decrease the quantities, or change the delivery dates, or change it from the primary supplier to another one, really fine tune it. And then when you're happy with that, you can create the purchase order.
Perfect. Okay.
Good.
So I can then have the guys in the warehouse, we have some buyers down there, I can have them set everything up, and once they've set the PO up, they basically push release, but it would then come to me for me just to review it, approve it, and then when I hit OK, then it will get sent out to the vendor.
And I think the thing here to do, now that you've got the process you want to follow, when you get your third database set up,
Yeah.
we should take just a small segment, a few products, and make them look like how you want them to look, and go through all the steps that we just talked about.
Yeah, and then we'll get the security.
Exactly how it's going to work.
We'll get the security, especially on the third database. We'll get it all set up because this database we're using now, it is kind of the mirror. It's our only test, so it's the mirror of what we have now in case other people want to come into it. But the third one, the new one, is going to be basically a blank canvas. So we really will be able to
the sandbox.
To sandbox. You got it. Yeah.
I have a question for you. With other customers, what sort of volume of part numbers are you seeing the system capable of handling?
Oh, we've got a few petroleum wholesalers where we're up 20 to 30,000 parts.
Okay.
And I mean, and that, the only restriction here is that's what they sell.
Right.
The various combinations, but sort of given the storage capacity limitations, any technology issues, hardware issues are what might limit you.
Because what I want to do is I want to start, like, for example, I buy a brand new bulldozer. I want to get a recommended spares or parts list from the manufacturer and upload that in the system so that at least those parts are already set up in the system. We can do that, correct?
You could.
Okay. You sound maybe hesitant or like I might not
No,
want
that
to.
sounds like it's going to be, 150,000 parts. I don't know how many parts are in a bulldozer, but or they may have catalogs. There may be some electronic way that you can link up with them.
Yeah,
I
that's.
understand what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that's why I said I'll take the recommended spares, right?
The first order of spares, yeah.
So there may be a list of 1,500
October.
parts that
Yeah.
get replaced on a regular basis or something like that.
Yeah.
So I want to at least have those in the system.
Yeah, and I think the way to go back to that, it would be the item classes and how those are structured.
Okay.
And you also have purchase order types. I think we talked a bit about those. But I take some of the examples of your most frequent issue for the products, and we'll run them through on the test database until we get all the totally understood how it works and make the adjustments that we need.
Okay, good. I think you've answered quite a few of our questions. I guess what we're asking for right now, all our questions, we're just trying to figure out the tools we have to design what we need to do. So you've explained quite a bit of that very well. So the other question I have is,